Hello and Happy New Year! I'm Gabby of Disco Spine Craft, and today we are going to talk about spell crafting with our knitting. So, how do we work spells into our craft? There's so many ways that we can approach bringing a little element of magic or mysticism into our personal projects. So today I'm wearing an example of my I'm calling it my signifier, my new Year of the Fire Horse hat. So I'll go over some of the ways that I made this. This is a Musselburgh hat and by Isolde Teague. And I'm going to talk about the ways that I've kind of imbued it with my own magic and intention and made it its own spell. But first I want to talk about color in general. So in witchcraft, I think many of us who are watching this channel, you might be familiar with using colors in your spells, particularly with candles. So there's a lot of intention behind choosing a certain color of candle in order to boost the energy of a spell that you're working on. A very common one might be a green candle when you're dealing with matters of money, or maybe a pink candle when you're working with matters of love or even self-love. So I think a lot of us intuitively have different associations of color with intention. So this is also very prominent in yoga, if you're familiar with the chakra system. So for me, this orange red is really hitting my soul in such a positive way. So I chose this orange red. It really called to me when I went to Rhinebeck and saw it at Fiber MacGyver. So I went to her booth and picked other items that I had like made plans for. So I was like, okay, I need XYZ, got those. And then this was like literally just like on the shelf glowing at me. And I was like, I don't know if I should do that. I don't really have like anything specific planned. I was really trying to rein in spending this year at Rhinebeck. So I left the booth, went on with my day, and then the booth was kind of on the way out also. So when I saw it again, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get one skein of it and then I'll make a hat and I'll get my fix of this beautiful like red neon. But I'm so happy I did because it ended up being, again, I'm calling it my signifier, like the symbol of my new intention for this year. And this color has really been speaking to me. It's very neon, it's very bright. And this just felt like the boldness of being seen, like being okay with glowing, being okay with putting myself out there. So that's very positive as I try to, make more of these videos for y'all and connect with you. This is a moment of being seen. This orangey red feels very aligned with the creative energy that I'm calling in. This orange and red is like two parts, if you think about the red of the root chakra and the orange of the sacral chakra. So I am uniting these two things because I am calling in and intending for a lot more creativity in my new year. I'm practicing more of my craft. I am doing more creative works like writing, making these videos, and wanting to support myself doing so. So that's where the root energy comes in of the base foundation of support for any human being. We want food, shelter, a little bit of money to make things go. And the root is really where that stability and foundation comes from. So for me, this color feels very aligned with the orange red, that feeding myself, supporting myself through my creativity. That's the intention for this year. That's the energy I put into this beanie. I wove it into every single stitch. Now that's a specific practice I wanted to segue into. Every single stitch having intention. I think that's feels like a tall order for knitters as we move into like a flow state where you're not really thinking about every single stitch, and that's okay. It's more like a lot of times when I sit down with the intention of like putting good energy into my craft, stitching with love, I am kicking off my knit session by, stitching and thinking of that person, sending them love, thinking of, or for this, it's my project for me, I'm thinking of my intention, imbuing love into that, and really just like being intentional about it. And then I do allow myself to get into like flow state. I allow myself to just kind of have fun with it. And also, I don't forbid myself from enjoying knitting in like a recreational way. It doesn't have to every single moment be a strict spiritual practice, because that's not very fun. The energy you're trying to bring to this is lightness and love, right? So we want to have a lot of positive association with doing this practice. So I have done both a lot throughout this. I have sat and watched shows and knitted on this while I got into like a flow and wasn't totally paying attention, and then boom, a whole nother inch or two is done of my Musselburgh. But also every time I would sit down, I would think of how happy I am to be knitting it, how excited I am for this final product, how excited I am for the new year, how this color makes me feel. This color makes me feel so powerful and energized. So every time I would come back to this project with the session, I would have some positive thoughts and affirmations and intentions. So I think that's a great way to approach it, where you're sitting and you're kicking off with that. Now, I think that there is a fun, maybe fun's not the word, but like a very purposeful way of sitting and knitting. Maybe you're having more quiet time with it and allowing yourself to be almost meditative with it. That's also a wonderful approach. And I think there's a lot of tradition for prayer and for meditation to be associated with like a repetitive movement. If you think about mala beads, where it's 108 beads and you have your mantra and you are doing meditation while working through your mala beads, very similar to folks who pray a rosary. You have a set of beads and you're doing a prayer for each bead. So I think you can set up your knitting practice to be extremely intentional with that as well, where every single stitch, maybe since you're moving through them pretty quickly, every stitch could be your mantra word or your mantra phrase. Or maybe every single, you have marker to marker sections, you can do a phrase between each section. So you can really change the details to be like a prayerful and meditative practice in the way that suits you in your life and your spiritual practice. So that's something, if you've never tried, I would recommend trying, especially with a project like this, where you can do like a lot of knit stitches and get into a flow state. Being in that creative flow state is so meditative and so freeing. Just that flow is what a great feeling. So I think this is a really wonderful intention to set for yourself as a knitter in the new year, if you want to approach it with a little bit more of use your knitting as a spiritual practice. So one other thing to consider as we talk about flow state is that, meditation is obviously really healthy for our brain as well. And what knitting and crafting can do for us in that regard is when you cross hands over the midline, you are supporting your brain health. It's very powerful for children as they, as their brains grow and develop, but it's also really powerful for adults too. We all, I think, need to honor the health of our brain and our mind as well, because there are so many, obviously, competing, devices and pings and things like that in our modern era. And I think if we want to have a healthy body, mind, spirit, this crossing the midline, like doing a craft with intention, can very much support all three of those areas. And it's a way to honor our brain, honor the health of your mind. So I think, yeah, if you have never considered that, I think about it as you are sitting and crafting one night, the idea of allowing yourself to flow. So as we talk about spell crafting, another concept I think that is really powerful is creating something and then letting it go. So you're sitting with these intentions, you're imbuing your positive energy, you're imbuing your intention into the knit, you are doing maybe some mantra work or whatever you prefer, and you, at the end, when we finish and we release it, we let those intentions just be. You let it go out into the world, and you have this kind of leftover reminder. So as I move into the rest of the year and continue to wear this, especially, it's beginning of January right now, I'll have a few more months of wearing this all the time, that I can be carrying that lovely energy with me. But I also don't need to think about it every single second that I'm wearing it. So that's something with, spell crafting as a witch. You do your ritual, you create your spell, you light the candle, and then as the candle burns down, it is released. And we don't have to dwell upon it and examine our life every single moment, be like, is this a thing? Is this related to that? Is this the spell working? Is it happening? And the constant examination. We just let it go, knowing that it will happen with the positive not affirmation in the sense of like a repeating phrase, but like knowing the certainty that what you created is happening for you. So putting that out there into the world and releasing it, that's always a really beautiful part of the practice. So we're letting it go. Trusting that things are happening for you. So yeah, I have this as like a reminder of my intention, but I'm not ruminating on that intention constantly. I've set it up and released it. So with this Musselburgh hat, I still have to block it. I haven't done that just yet. I was very excited to finish it and just wanted it on my head immediately. And I'm very proud and happy with it. So I think, as part of continuing my imbuing positive energy and magic into my knit, what I'm going to do is when I do block it, I'm going to add a couple crystals to the blocking bath as well, because when we do a bath for ourselves and add crystals to it, we're soaking in the energy and that intention of that stone. And I would love to do that for this hat as well. I probably will add some clear quartz just for some clarity, and I probably will add some smoky quartz because I was working with that around my New Year's intentions. So both of those feel like they're calling to me a little bit. try this with your own blacking of your knits. Just, make sure that you're using crystals that are appropriate for water. Not all crystals can get put into a bath. Do a little search online for your crystal and make sure. Two that come to mind right away are selenite. Don't put that in the water. It's basically salt based and it will not do well. And malachite, I think, cannot go in water. So just, do a little quick search and make sure whatever stone you want to use for imbuing intention and a little magic into your knit is water safe. This is my second attempt at doing a Musselburgh hat. I previously started one it was a really interesting colorway. It was like a yellow and like purpley brown, very variegated throughout, and I was really intrigued by like just the earthiness of it, and it looked very it looked a little bit strange, and I was vibing with that at the time. And then I tried to make this hat with it, and for whatever reason it just wasn't working. It was a single ply wool, and I was having a hard time using it. I don't know why. It was just very it felt like sticky on the wooden needle. It didn't flow, and I felt like I wasn't making a lot of progress. And then I would look down at my past progress and I noticed that I was getting a lot of snags and a couple holes. So I guess from being put in the bag improperly, maybe the needle was, poking through the fabric in a certain part and then creating a hole. There was a couple of them and I was like, okay, well, I can, power through this and, finish off the hat and then go back and maybe do some like visible mending on those holes, or use extra yarn to repair it and like duplicate stitch it or make a proper repair. And then I was just like, do I have that in me? I don't really want to do that. I don't really feel like it. So I was like, you know what? It's not working for me. I'm just gonna frog it. I'm just gonna get rid of it. I didn't love that yarn feeling. And yeah, I was just ready to move on. So I felt like that was also another little spiritual lesson from my craft, where it was like, okay, this is, it's taking a lot of time and effort, and I'm just coming up with like holes. And what if I released that project, let it go, and then started anew with a new yarn, new intention, whole new project. So, and then this one flew off the needles. It was like so much easier and it was fluid. And I think some of that is a lesson for our lives, right? Where it's like, okay, you got to be okay with letting go of the things that don't work. If it's not working constantly, like maybe that's a sign. Not saying that we should never power through and overcome obstacles, but also sometimes we just intuitively know, like maybe I'm getting a lot of friction and resistance here because this path is not right, and maybe it could be easier if I reboot it in a different way. So I know that that's personally come up for me a bit throughout my life in different areas. For this new year, I did a lot of work around intentions, and I did the 12 nights of Yule, where you cast 12 intention or 13 intentions, and you let all of them go, one each night. You burn it in the fire, and you're left with your 13th intention. And one of the intention I'm left with, which is the one that I have to put energy into working on and think about doing instead of just releasing it to the universe, is to practice yoga more consistently. So I'm working towards that. I used to teach yoga. I used to practice very consistently. Yoga has always been a part of my personal practice towards taking care of myself, for my health of my body and of my mind and spirit. And I haven't been doing it as much. For the past year or two, I focused a lot more on strength training, and I discovered boxing. I've had a lot of fun doing that, and it feels great. And I don't intend on stopping those to restart yoga. I intend on bringing yoga back into my life more intentionally and more in a rhythm. So I didn't want to go and commit to do something every day super hard, because I have a series of January reboots that were involved with, that were fitness based, that, I think a lot of us have had that experience where you intend for something and you go way too hard up front and it just fizzles out. So I'm not going to take that approach this January with these resolutions. I am honoring that like slow winter feeling, that energy of the winter solstice that passed and of those Yule intentions, and just letting myself winter. Like, we're taking it easy. We're bringing in a bit of yoga, and maybe it'll be 15 minutes today, maybe it'll be 20. If I take it off tomorrow, that's okay. We are not going to be punishing ourselves with intense resolution and push during a time when it is up here in that Valley. We are covered in snow still. It is chilly. It is calling for us to be still and do some of these practices of cultivating our spirit. So yeah, I'm bringing in more yoga, doing it gently. So I thought I would do something new here. I wanted to pull some cards for our collective, for anybody who is creative, who wants to maybe bring some fresh energy to their practice in the new year. You're starting a new project. Anybody who has a creative intention for 2026, I've pulled these cards for you. I pulled a card for us from the Luminous Void Tarot. This is created by Laura Zuspan, and it's a very unique tarot deck. It's got this beautiful, oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, guys. This beautiful shape, this beautiful art. It really speaks to me, and I love what she did with the watercolor. So the card I pulled for us is Judgment. So I think this is a moment for us to reflect on the choices that we've made along the way and what worked, what didn't work. Just let's take a little breather to assess what those choices brought us. As we move into the new year, we're all reborn. What are we going to do with all of this energetic potential and this support that we have from the world? And this feels really lovely to me, like a celestial mother caring for her children. So I get a very supportive energy from this card. And I want to think about that as we all move into some intentions. I also really love to pull cards from this Goddess Guidance deck. I feel like it's always very well connected to me. I don't know if you ever have that experience where a certain deck just consistently is making a lot of sense and really hitting you where the meaning zings you and you're like, oh my gosh. So I have that a lot with these Goddess Guidance cards. I like to ask for an energy, guidance for my energy, how to approach situations, what kind of energy can I mirror, can I look to this goddess for in this cycle. And when I pulled it for myself, and then I reset the deck and I pulled it for the collective too. So she wants to be seen. We've pulled Bridget. So the message is don't back down and stand up for what you believe is right. And what has Bridget got in her hands but fire? She's associated with the eternal flame. She's also associated with Imbolc. So that is the beginning of spring. It's a midpoint between winter solstice and spring equinox. So you're seeing the first bits of spring coming back, the light really becoming more evident that it's returning. So the solstice marks that turning point. We're still kind of dark outside. Imbolc is, return. It's really present. And I think as we think about that, what light are we calling in? This flame energy. So I think with the don't back down message, we're calling in more assertive energy and action, especially for what we think is right. That's the call out in the card. Maybe speaking truth, things like that. What is calling you in that way? I wanted to call out a quote for Bridget card from the book itself. Now is the time to touch your power, for its heat and flame will ignite your passion, which will propel you forward in countless ways. So what a really great card to pull for those of us who are embarking on new creative endeavors. The combination of that and that judgment card, where are we putting that energetic support? What are you really wanting to move forward on? Now's the time. It feels very like pedal to the metal, like make that progress, move forward. And I think that that's also coming up in a lot of the astrology of right now as well. If you want a really great New Year astrological forecast, I recommend Chani Nicholas. Every week she puts out a YouTube video with the energy for that week, and she does have a New Year video out right now about what to expect for this week. It's January 5th through I guess 9, 10, 11. 11 would be Sunday. She's got a lot of important days that she notes for this, but she was calling out that this is a time to get started, make progress, move forward, do the thing. And it doesn't have to be all of the thing. Just take a small action towards that goal. We're going to take a step each day and make progress. So I'm really feeling that. I would love to do more videos like this in the new year. That's part of what I'm calling in. How can we, as a group here on YouTube, we can talk more about how spells and witchcraft relate to the crafts we make. And I'm so excited to do a little bit more of that with you all. So if you're interested in sharing some of that with me, if you'd like to talk more about these topics, please leave me some comments below about ways that your new year is shaping up through your practices, whether they are your art, your craft, your spiritual life. Let's have a little chat down below. And go ahead and like and subscribe. Please help me grow this channel so that we can all join together in the new year and do some more witchy, wonderful magic together. I hope you all have a beautiful week. A lot of us are going back to school, work, what have you. Wish you nothing but the best. Let's harness some of this fire. Let's move forward together. Thank you all. Bye.